What's going on, guys? Aaron from Top Tier Gaming here, and today I'm coming at you with an undefeated Rika SUNAVALON deck profile. Just this last weekend, we had a 3v3 for our Tactical Masters case tournament for the release of Tactical Masters, and I did go undefeated with my Rika SUNAVALON deck, a deck I was able to pilot to a top 8 finish at the Fort Worth Regional a few weeks ago. And yeah, my list has changed a little bit since then, and also Rika has gotten a lot more notoriety since then as well, since Marcus Patel was able to get first place at European Nationals, and that was huge for the deck. My list is quite different from his, as well as I opt to play a lot of different flex spots, and my engine's a little different there too. So yeah, it was honestly like a super fun tournament. Now, unfortunately, both of my teammates did happen to take one loss each during the event, so we did not get first place because we came in I believe third because we lost a game, but me specifically, I went undefeated, and I'm going to be profiling the Rika deck that let me get there. Also, I do want to let people know, with the release of Tactical Masters, I do plan to do a, Labyrinth deck profile. I'm just waiting on getting some of the cards, and I'm waiting to have my list exactly how I want it. But that is coming. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I will have a list to show you guys because it's a deck I've been testing for a long time. Before we get into the list, I do want to let you guys know Discord link down below along with all of our other social media links if you want to follow the channel more closely. Also, recently we did hit the 10,000 subscriber mile mark that I have been, sort of letting you guys know that was the goal for a long time. And, thank you to everyone who is supporting the channel because, 10,000 is a pretty big goal. But now I think the goal is going to be 20,000 subscribers, so I'm going to try to hit 20,000 subscribers before maybe summer of next year. Kind of ambitious, but if you do like this Yu-Gi-Oh content and you like what you see here, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out in what I do here on the channel. But without further ado, let's hop into this Rika SUNAVALON deck profile. Alright, starting off, we have 3 Rika Petal, which is, of course, pretty much standard, I want to say, in a lot of Rika SUNAVALON lists. You can play 2. My lists have always sort of played 3, and it's the starter I want to see most often because it has Rika in its name, which allows it to work with, your field spell and a couple of your other card effects, and it's a really powerful starter for the deck. And then we do have 2 Rika Princess. So this is something I actually cut down from my last list. I was on 3. When I went to Fort Worth, but fitting room for other cards I wanted to play, I decided that 2 works perfectly fine. Since it recycles itself, 2 is still always in the deck when you need it to be in the deck. So I did cut down to 2 Rika Princess, and that's sort of the biggest change with my Rika engine since Fort Worth. I'm still on the 2 Primula. I think 2 of this card is just absolutely mandatory. I feel like it's wrong not to play at least 2 of this because the second one comes up so often in follow-up plays for Rika Glamour because you'll need to be able to search her and Princess, and if she's not in the deck, you can't tribute to search 2 unless you want to grab the Seed and your Petal. But a lot of times you're going to want to go for a Strenna play, which means you need to have Primula in deck, and that's why I really like playing 2. Next we have 2 Mudon, the Rika Fairy. And Mudon is just, of course, one of the most powerful extenders for the deck. Being able to just, very similar to Brutal Dozer and Earth Machine is what I usually like to compare her to. She's able to just tribute a monster to special summon, and then you are able to add a Rika Speller Trap from your deck to your hand. And that's really good for the deck because it means you get access to your field spell, which is the biggest part of the deck, and also because she tributes to summon, she ends up being an amazing board breaker with your field spell as well. And 2 has sort of been the ratio I've liked. I've seen some people play 1. I've heard a lot of people try to bump it up to 3. I think 3 would get a little cloggy, and 2 has been sort of the number I find to be very nice. Lastly, for the Rika monsters, I have 1 Rika Snowdrop, who you don't really want to play multiples of this card, even though she is one of your best extenders, and that's just because she requires you to have another plant in hand, which means she's not good on her own. But even if you draw her and field spell, it's not enough. You need to draw her, field spell, and another plant for her to be a play going second. And that's why you don't really want to play multiples of this. And when you're already running 2 Mudon, you don't want too many high level monsters that don't do anything. And yeah, that is it for the Rika package. On to our Rika spells, we have the 3 Rika Konkon, and of course, this is sort of the highlight of the deck. I mean, this field spell is absolutely bonkers. I think a lot of people are onto it by now that the field spell is one of the strongest things about the deck, being able to tribute your opponent's monsters for your Rika card effects it's just actually such a broken mechanic. It's like Lair of Darkness, except it's in a combo deck instead of a trap deck, which I think is pretty easy to see why that is extremely powerful. Also, it allows you to get to your other Rika spells or traps. So yeah, this card is absolutely phenomenal. It's something I want to max on simply because, you know, going second, you want to see your field spell. 3, Rika Glamour. This is essentially the Rhoda for the deck, but it also has a very nifty effect where if you tribute a plant monster, you get to search a second plant from the Rika monster you searched that has the same level but a different name, which essentially the fact that it can tribute means it pairs very well with your field spell, being able to tribute your opponent's monsters to search 2. This is something you definitely want to be playing at 3 because it's just additional copies of your starters or extenders because it can grab like either Petal or Mudon, and you know, in either situation it's fantastic, so you definitely want to be playing 3 Glamour. And then 1 Rika Sheet. This is like one of the main interrupts for the deck. If you're already able to combo, you just set this with your field spell, and it's like 2 interrupts in one because you can end up tributing your opponent's monster with the field spell to take one of their monsters. Alright, so that is 17 Rika cards in the deck for the Rika engine. Now on to the SUNAVALON package. I have 2 Sunseed Genius Loci, Loki, Loci. I've heard this dude's name be pronounced in so many different ways that I'm not quite sure what the correct way to pronounce this card is. However, I am running 2 of the seed that you need for your main SUNAVALON combo. He is everything in your deck by himself. The only reason I don't play 3 personally is you only want to see 1 and you don't want to see multiples. A big problem this deck, in my opinion, has is the fact that it can draw too many normal summons. So when optimizing the deck's ratios, I think you have to cut a normal down somewhere, and I want to draw Petal more than I want to draw a Loci because there's a better way to get Loci out on the field. Then we have 1 Sunseed Twin, which is a very important part of your engine. It is the only brick in the deck, I want to say. And even then, it's not always that terrible of a brick. It actually has some nice synergies with it, like the fact that it's level 2, so Primula can actually target it, make it level 4, and you can get Strenna that way. And then 1 Sowing, of course, you need Sowing for your Dryas play. And I only like 1 of this card. I've seen, like in Marcus Patel's list, he played 2. I really only like 1. Like, seeing it isn't terrible because if you draw it in something like Petal, you can still get to some form of SUNAVALON combo. However, I want to just like see this card for free. I don't want to draw it and then like search an additional one. So that's why I choose to play 1. I want it for free, but I don't want to see it in my opening hand. 3 Unexpected Die. Now this is sort of the best card in the SUNAVALON package. Unexpected Die is the best way to get to Loci, which is why I play 2 Loci, but I max out on Die. This card essentially lets you have full combo without your normal summon, which means if you happen to be interrupted, you can still go through your normal summon. Like, you know, you go through your SUNAVALON plays, you get hand trapped, you can then normal summon Petal, and then do Rika plays, and being able to do full combo without a normal summon and have a powerful extender like Unexpected Die is insane. It's essentially like the emergency teleport of the deck, even though, you know, it's not a quick play. But yeah, you want to max out on this even if you're not maxing out on Loci because Unexpected Die is insane. For some one-ofs that kind of work with both engines, I have 1 Lone Fire Blossom and 1 1-for-1. These cards work with either your Rika engine or your SUNAVALON package because obviously 1-for-1 can special Petal or Loci, and then Lone Fire as well can get any plant monster in your deck. It's really nice to have 1 of this because you can very easily access it off of your Jasmine, and then it can become anything, and you can use it for follow-up plays with Strenna. But also, it's like the best thing to hit off Dance Peony because it immediately removes the can't be linked restriction off of that card in your extra deck. And then 1-for-1 is just a powerful extender. It can be like another Unexpected Die that can also get Petal. It's just a very powerful extender. So both of these are like good plant cards that access other cards in your deck. A big change in this version of my list as opposed to the one that I played at Fort Worth is I am on 2 Pot of Prosperity. Now, this card is very weird in this deck because you can only ever banish 3. You can't banish more than that. And even banishing 3 is hard. And I had a lot of games where I actually had 0 cards left in my extra deck by the time I won. And Prosperity is sort of the reason, you know, you're banishing 3 extra cards. But this card is insanely powerful, being able to access sort of the best cards in your deck like Petal or Loci, or go second cards. More importantly, after game 1 and games 2 and 3, this is a very good way to see your go first side, like your Pointer of the Red Lotus, your Solemn Judgments, whatever you're siding for going first to beat things like Evenly Match or Lightning Storm, those very powerful cards. And that's why I want to play Prosperity. I think it tested okay. I'm still not sure about this card in this deck. It's something I've tried several times. And I feel like it's very polarizing. It's either really good or it's really bad, but you don't draw an engine. So this card is pretty nice for being able to see the best cards in your deck. 2 Triple Tactics Talent. This card is something I was glad to add back into my deck because I took out Cyframe Gear Gamma, and Gamma kind of conflicts with this card a little bit. If you negate something like an Ash Blossom on your Lone Fire, then you can't Tactics because you negated the activation of Ash Blossom, so it doesn't fulfill the requirements for Tactics. But now that Gamma's not in the deck as well, I feel like this card is just super good, and it has been clutch ever since I put it back in. It's an amazing card to like rip cards out of your opponent's hand or draw 2 and extend past where you got hand trapped. So yeah, I really like Triple Tactics Talent. And then 1 Called by the Grave. It's just like the best card in the game. You should definitely be running this in every deck, except maybe like some trap decks. On to the hand traps and sort of hard go second cards. We have the 2 Ash Blossom. I'm still on 2 of this as I was like at Fort Worth. No particular reason besides potentially space. Like I think Ash is okay this format. It has a couple of really good hits. But I don't think it's like super amazing. I never want to draw multiple, and to fit other go second cards, I cut Ash down to 2. And for almost the same reason, I'm running 2 Bell. I actually think Bell is like really fantastic. Crow is also a really good card, but this thing stops things like opposing DD Crows. It stops like Ice Dragon's Prison, which actually came up at the 3v3 to negate an Ice Dragons. And then also it's really good at negating Totally Awesome, like his effect to negate one of your monster effects. So yeah, Ghost Bell, super good hand trap all weekend. And then 2 Ghost Ogre. I'm still really liking this hand trap. I think she has some really good hits, even in matchups where people think she's like notoriously bad. Like a lot of people don't like Ghost Ogre versus Tier Element, but being able to hit things like Dragostapelia or Time Thief Redoer or their field spell are all pretty relevant hits, and Ghost Ogre is pretty good for that reason. So it also is hitting the Brave engine that is sort of coming back into popularity. And lastly, I have 3 Infinite Impermanence, which is just one of the better hand traps, obviously, because it's not an actual monster, so it dodges things like Called By, Triple Tactics Talent, and it's also an amazing 6th card. So if I'm maxing on any hand trap, I wanted it to be Imperm because it's just very flexible. It's a good 6th, and yeah, it doesn't fall prey to a lot of things hand traps are weak to. So it's 9 hand traps. Of course, like for going second, we also have Triple Tactics Talent, and our engine is very good at going second because we have the field spell, which can break boards by itself. So we have a lot more go second cards than it actually looks like. On to the extra deck, and I don't believe anything's actually changed in this since my Fort Worth list, so I'm going to run through it pretty quickly. Of course, Omega is no longer in here because I'm not running Gamma. But yes, for the extra deck, we have the 3 Dryas, which is pretty standard. You want to play 3 of this, just in case like one gets hand trapped and you're able to extend with like Snowdrop into another line of your Dryas play. You can still go for full combo. 2 Healer. This is always supposed to be 2 Healer. It was never supposed to be the Healer and the Thrasher. I know some people choose to play Thrasher to go for like Malias Thrasher plays, which is something you can do, but I think double Healer is better. It's like pretty good in time against Flouanderees because they gain 500 with Advent. And with the Healer, you can end up, if you use it twice, gaining 600. So that's actually pretty relevant to have 2 of these. Then we have 1 Jasmine, which is obviously for your main SUNAVALON combo. The 1 Malias, and the 1 Bangalancer. These are all part of your standard SUNAVALON combo. Ending Bangalancer is really nice. He's such good follow-up in Grave, which is what I really like about him. But also the fact that he's light means that your end board can actually be super polyed, because your end board is normally Bangalancer, which is a light, Hyperion, which is an earth, and then either Strenna or Teardrop, which are water. So that is pretty good, and yep. And then lastly for links, we have 2 Dance Peony. And Dance Peony should only be at 1. One of these should be a 3rd Strenna, but I did not have one for the event. I played the 2nd Peony, and all she really did was get banished off Prosperity. But Peony is an insane card, but you definitely don't need to play 2 of her. 2 Rika Queen Strenna. This should probably be at 3. I really want to play 3 of this card because she's just insane for the deck. One of the most powerful like follow-up cards, as well as just like your first turn play. And she's also super good for playing around things like Lava Golem and Sphere Mode, because if she's tributed, she still will get her effect even if she's tributed by your opponent's cards. She also plays around things like Dark Ruler, because if they negate your whole field, you can still tribute the Strenna and then get a new monster. So because of this card, you play around a lot of the very powerful Go Second board breakers, and that's really fantastic. Then for the things she sort of summons, or you can make naturally for 2 of them in particular, we have the 1 Teardrop, because she's like one of your better interrupts because she's just a quick effect. You know, detach material, tribute a monster on the field. It gets around like anti-destruction effects, and it's, you know, chainable. You can activate it at any time. So she's a very powerful interrupt. And yeah, you only need to play one, and I choose to play an Alsay over the potential second. There's just times where this guy comes up because he can out back row, while Teardrop can only really out monsters. So I like having the Alsay to deal with like annoying field spells like Jam Drive or anything like that when I'm clearing a board, any back row. He just gives you an additional out that you don't normally have. And then lastly, of course, the Hyperion, which is really good for, you know, ending your board with a monster and or spell negate, depending on how you use him and how your hand was. If you had to use like your field spell or your glamour before going into your plays. But if you can save them for Hyperion, you can end up getting a spell negate off of them, which is really good. And yeah, that wraps it up for the 15 card extra deck. So yeah, that is going to do it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, like the 3v3 case tournament was really cool. We ended up splitting in top 4, so even though we didn't get first technically, we still all got the same prizing, which was just a box. Like when you split it between 4 teams, each team has 3 players, that's 12 players. So yeah, a case goes and splits 1 box per person. I did pull a CR. I pulled a CR Labyrinth. I will show this as the CR. Even though this isn't the CR I pulled a Labyrinth. But yeah, so, you know, we did get something out of the box for our Tactical Masters case tournament. And yeah, so we went undefeated with Rika, and, you know, that's all I really have to say about that. If you did enjoy this profile, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. This has been Aaron from Top Tier Gaming. Bye, YouTube.